for the Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition. We're a citizens coalition that's helping to advise EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, on how to clean up this river.
I've heard that this area is a Superfund site. Can you tell me what that means?
Yes, we have a national environmental law called Superfund that identifies and requires cleanup of the most toxic places in the whole country. The Duwamish River was listed onto the Superfund list 2 years ago. This is now recognized as one of the most toxic hazardous waste sites anywhere in the nation. And all the folks that are responsible over the years for polluting it are now required to clean it up.
So this area right here where this mudflat is, where the water is, down here running through the city of Seattle, you're saying that it's very polluted.
This whole area is very polluted. The river that runs through the city is over 5 miles long, and the entire river within the city is now a Superfund site.
So why was this site selected to be a Superfund site? What is it that's unique about this place?
Well, essentially, as I mentioned, it's one of the most toxic, one of the most hazardous places in the country. And the reason for that is that we have a toxic slew of about 36 chemicals in the river here. Some of them are heavy metals, things like mercury, arsenic. Some of them are industrial chemicals. There's something called PCBs, which is a cancer-causing chemical that we find all up and down this river. So essentially what we need to do is to get all of that chemical pollution out of this river, out of the mud at the bottom, and that's going to take quite some time.
So how do you know these chemicals are in there?
Well, we actually have over 2,000 samples of what's in the mud up and down the river. And you can see right here, I've brought a map of where we're standing right now. We're standing right here at the edge of this area, and all the red and yellow areas are toxic hotspots on the river. The red's the worst, but right here, looking just behind us, is another area that's contaminated with PCBs. So we need to be really careful about making sure that we know where we're standing and what the risks are, even on the beach around us here.
I'm not sure where I'm standing. Can I see the things that you're talking about? How would I know? What am I looking for here, BJ?
Well, in this area, what we have, not where you are, but just going up this way, is PCB contamination. That's that cancer-causing chemical that I mentioned. It was actually banned in the United States more than 20 years ago, but we have 100 years of pollution on this river, so we still have a lot of PCBs that need to be cleaned up. In other areas, you'll see oils that are the pollution, and those you can see more easily.
Well, let's take a look. You've got a shovel here. Is there a place where you think you can get the shovel down into the mud? It looks a little rocky.
Well, we've chosen a fairly clean area for where we are right now. But essentially, in order to find contamination along a lot of this river, all you need to do is pull up a little bit of mud and take a look. Now, if we had oil contamination in this area, you might see a sheen. You might see kind of tarry blocks. This is river sediment. It looks black, but this is river sediment. Over there, if we were to do the same thing, it wouldn't look any different because you can't see PCBs. And that's part of what's made it so important to start to educate fishermen on this river about what's happening here, because they can't see it when they go to an area and fish. In fact, many of these people that are fishing the river regularly don't necessarily speak English. You'll notice the sign has many different languages on it. And the areas that they came from may look a lot worse than what we've got. It may look clean to them because you can't see cancer-causing chemicals, you can't see arsenic, you can't see PCBs. You can sometimes see that the fish have been affected, and you may not know for many years until after eating the fish that you've actually been affected.
So you dug a little bit here, and we can see these black sediments. Earlier, the students said they were digging in the mud and found black sediments. Can you tell us about that?
Well, most of the black sediment you see here is river sediment. That's what it looks like. This area of the beach where we've got the kids working with the fish, that's relatively clean. As I mentioned back here, it'll look the same, but it actually does have some toxic, some poisonous chemicals in it. So, when you notice the shorebirds up along this part of the beach, this is an area where we know critters are being impacted by what's in the sediments. You will notice, though, that the kids are all wearing gloves. We tried to make sure that they're protected just in case there's more that we don't know about this river. We're still doing a lot of research.
Thanks a lot for your time. Can you tell me, would you eat the fish that are caught here?
I wouldn't eat the fish that are caught here, but I'm hoping that my children can. We're getting ready to start the cleanup. In fact, right beneath those red and white poles is going to be our first cleanup site starting in about 6 weeks, and we're going to start scooping the mud out of the bottom of the river here to get it cleaned up. Just at the bottom of those red and white poles over there, if you zoom in, you can actually see a big concrete box, and that's a combined sewer overflow. That's where raw sewage from the city of Seattle, mixed with stormwater, rainwater, overflows when we get heavy rains. So you're getting raw sewage from your homes, you're getting raw sewage from industry, and it's created a big red toxic hotspot like I showed you on that map right out in front there. All of the mud at the bottom of the river under the water from that spot needs to be dredged out, needs to be scooped out and replaced with clean sand and mud in order to clean up that site. That has to be done over many, many, many acres on the Duwamish River. That's 7 acres right there, and that's going to cost about $8 million to clean up. We've got a big job ahead of us.
So if I understand this correctly, the poisons are down in the mud. It's been accumulating for many, many years. We can dig that mud out of there, but what do we do with those poisons?
That's an excellent question, and that's one of the things that the citizens in this area are really challenging our government agencies to rethink. Because historically what's been done is what we call dredge and dump. You scoop it out of the river and you just put it someplace else. Sometimes you put it into a different place in Puget Sound, sometimes you put it into an upland area or someplace on land where it's still poison and you have to keep people away. We're really going to be challenging our government agencies here with this cleanup to look at what we can do to treat it, what we can do to actually neutralize it or make it clean or keep it from being harmful, so we treat it before we find a place to put it, and hopefully we don't have to dump on another community.
All right, thank you so much for your time.